Hello. Good evening, everybody. This looks a little down. How's that? Hi. How's everybody doing? Obviously, I don't know how time works. And then every time something happens, every single time, I went to start, click the start button, and it was like, error. You gotta be kidding me. Every time there's something, it's tradition. I can't get away from it. I obviously, I don't deserve a bigger audience. I really don't. If I can't even be on time, the bare minimum is being on time, I don't deserve it. Nobody else subscribe until I get this figured out. This is ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Can't even be on time. That is sad. Let me get the chat put in the right spot and everything. And get the chat thingy and put it over here. There we go. And, oh, where did you go? There you are. And Rick now. I love the really specific start time. I did fix that. I fixed it. I thank you for reminding me, because I actually did forget water, and then I was like, huh, it says don't forget water. I better drink some water. Down the rabbit hole. Hello. New Zealand. That is far away. You're on the upside down, inside out. Inside out doesn't make sense. Hello, Matthew. I'm very late. It is tradition, but I don't want it to be. I don't want that tradition. Of all the possible traditions, that is the crappiest one to have. Oh my goodness. Something's wrong with me. Okay. Let me get the link stuff situated. So I happened to see something the other day, and so I don't know if you guys know who JP is. He was, I don't know if recently, because I sort of stopped watching him a couple of years ago, but at first I thought, when he first started getting bigger, I thought he was hilarious. So he's the really super buff, long-haired ginger dude that does these what do you call them? I always forget what the word for it is, but it's not, what is it? Satire. Thank you. I always forget that word. I don't know why. I just can't get satire right for some reason. I always talk around it somehow. Oh, well, it's kind of like irony, but not really, and etc. But anyway, it's satire. And he did a lot of satire, kind of funny skits from the right-wing perspective. And for a while, I thought he was really funny, especially he was doing a lot of COVID-related stuff. And I thought a lot of that was pretty funny, because a lot of the COVID stuff was completely out of whack. So it was nice to have someone criticize it. But after a while, I stopped watching him, because he got really, I don't know, it just got kind of, I don't want to say icky, because that's what that's been my thing for everything. And there's different levels to icky. There's Andrew Wilson is kind of defending the whole Epstein thing and trying to separate between if it's, technically under whatever age is the split of, I don't want to get into it right now, but that's icky, but that's icky, somebody check his phone icky. And then there's icky, oh man, I don't even know. What was the other stuff that's been icky recently? There's always something icky. But there's lower level icky that's kind of I don't like it. I don't know why. It this seems like it's an icky thing to me. So there's levels to icky. And the way that I don't remember exactly what it was specifically, but I do remember that some of his kids got really, they weren't really funny anymore. He was hitting it too hard and going basically really like in one direction. And yeah, I mean, he seemed like he was not really, I don't even know how to describe it, but from where I was at, it started getting kind of lame. Let's just put it that way. So I stopped watching him for many years, but recently, he came across my feed, and I was like, "Huh, what's this? That's interesting." So I thought that what he said was really relevant, and I think a lot of people would find that it's probably kind of obvious, but not something I really put together until I heard somebody else lay it out the way that they did, and he laid it out pretty well. So we're gonna watch a short, I think it's like under 15 minutes or something like that, or at least the part we're gonna watch is probably even less than that, but part of a JP video, and it's not like a comedy skit that he does, it's like a personal experience thing, plus some, I'm saying a lot today, I apologize, but plus some basically like, oh, now it's like, I can't catch a break. Went from bad to worse. Anyway, it's something along the lines of like, oh, here's what happened to me, and here's what I think is probably happening to other people related to things like propagandists and things like that. People who you thought, oh, these people used to be kind of cool. What happened? So that is going to be something that when I was watching, I was like, huh, okay, that's kind of related. Or at least it seems like it might be related to all of the Kirk stuff because, well, I'll get into it in a minute. Let me do the links first. But basically, I was watching it and I was like, well, duh, yeah, obviously, because it's something that I always assumed was the case. But I don't know, for some reason, people will keep saying on one side, oh, well, so-and-so is probably getting paid. And I'm sure a lot of people are getting paid. But also, the way he put it, it makes sense that a lot of people wouldn't be. And I sort of, everybody kind of always knows that, yeah, like it's not only about money, it's also about like power and influence. That's a big deal to quite a few people. Like it's not always about money, but a lot of people are very like, oh, so and so must be paid, and then sort of closes the book on that and writes it off as like, oh, they're just being paid. And I'm starting to think that there's a lot less of being paid than I thought. So before I saw this laid out, I figured, okay, well, obviously people are out for the influence, but also obviously I'm sure a lot of them are getting paid because, I mean, duh, right? But the more I thought about it, it's like, well, how would that work exactly, and where's the line? Because you can pay probably a handful of people, but if you start paying more and more and more and more people, every time you add a person that you're paying, that is another link. And the more links you have, the more likely something is going to break. And one of those people is going to be like, oh, yeah, so-and-so offered me money to do blah, blah, blah. And then, expose the whole thing. So I think the way he described it is probably a better way of doing things as far as, the administration and how governments and people who seek power over others and seek to propagandize us. It seems that sort of description, the way he put it together, I think it works better than people get paid, which I also hear a lot. Which again, I don't reject, but I do think that the people who are getting paid, the number of them, are a lot. That count is more limited than the number of people who have this sort of. Well, we'll get into it. I don't want to, spoil the whole thing, but let me get the link thing situated because I always forget. But recently I haven't. I've been relatively good about it recently. But sometimes I start blabbing and then I forget. It happens. Let's see, what do we call this? I don't even know. propagandists seem like the wrong word for this, even though it applies. I don't even know what do we influencers, but influencers can be more independent, and they do also seek to influence. Obviously, they're influencers, but that's not even the right word. I don't really have a word for what I want to call this group of people, but if anyone has a better word, I'm all for it. I'm open to ideas for a better word, but propagandists seem like too broad of a category. So does influencers. Everything seems like too broad of a category. But it's basically people who seek sort of influence in society and value that even more so than money, and will basically say and do whatever to appear as if they have that influence over others versus actually having the influence in the regular way that influence is had, as in, starting a large company and providing jobs to people, and, well, money is also involved. That is usually at least adjacent. Money and influence do go together hand in hand often, but they don't have to. And I think this intersection of where they go together and then below it is mostly it doesn't have to. So I think that's probably the intersection of people that I'm talking about. So the people who do at least seek to have influence, but don't necessarily seek to prioritize profits above all else. But sometimes those things do go together. Let me catch up on chat real quick, and then I finish link stuff. Upside down. He's the transphobic guy. I have seen some skits that could be labeled that way. Personally, I'm not a fan of the term because nobody's like, well, some people do really fear the people, but most people who say things that people would classify as transphobic don't actually like have an irrational fear of these people. So I don't know. That's just a pet peeve of the term personally, but phobias in general being assigned to things that aren't phobias, and I don't know, the language is getting confusing, more confusing by the day. A buff, long-haired ginger dude. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good description for him. I watched AP on and off. Yeah, the recent stuff I have seen was pretty spot on, but I've only seen like 2 recent clips. I feel like I know who you're talking about when by the description. I think it's a good description. Long-haired ginger buff dude who does satire on the right. I find government icky. I do too. High five. I agree JP wasn't for me for a period. It's good to watch what you like instead of watching stuff to troll something for everyone on YouTube. NDAs. I think I'm probably talk past that part. I agree it's used incorrectly. All right. Not the topic of the show, but that is a short blurb on that. Let me see. Yeah, I guess we could just call it propagandists. No, because that makes it seem, I don't know, maybe propaganda, oh, come on, I can't type. What is wrong with me? Oh my goodness. Eventually we'll get to the video. Okay. That works, and let me do this link and put it over here. This one goes here. And yeah, so I wasn't really feeling great most of the week. It kind of sucked. I even had to take a day off my day job because it was just crappy. I think it's more or less better now. I still feel like I'm just tired in general a lot, but I think it's getting better. I think this one goes here. So I was hoping to do another stream earlier in the week, but that didn't work out. And then I also wanted to do one yesterday, and that didn't work out, and it just has not been working out, but I made it. Finally made it. It only took me like a week to get here, but here we are. we made it. Okay, now I think I have like 3 more. And here. Yep. And one here. Here it is. And I don't know if I'm supposed to put one here. It's always confusing. I'm just gonna leave it off. All right. Now I'm gonna pull the video up, and I suppose we'll start with what JP said about it, and then I had Claude go and pull some clips from my personal archive of transcripts and videos and stuff. And usually when I do videos that are things that aren't live or even live ones, I try to, I guess things that aren't just straight up react to video, things that have a little bit more like, oh, here's other stuff and here's other stuff and here's some other stuff that supports other stuff. Part of the reason I don't do those as much is because it takes more prep, and it's kind of what I was hoping to do here, is I was hoping to have more time to sort of prep and go through all of them, because I always have to go through things myself and sort of adjust as I go. But since I didn't have time to do that, it might not be as like fast paced as it could be, but I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be okay. So we'll start with the one that the video that I was talking about. And let me pull that one up on YouTube here. Smaller. And oh. And I'll do this one over here. This one over here. And that works. It's a little large. Stretch. Yeah, I think that should be okay. And we're gonna move it up this way. And ta-da! Okay. So watch this one first. It's not long. It's 20 minutes. Yeah, we're not gonna watch the whole 20 minutes. I think eventually we'll get to the point of it, and he sort of goes on about his personal stuff more, and we don't really need to get into all of that. But that does take some of the video. But let's just play it, and I'll sort of interject as needed. It is correctly. Okay. Agree to disagree. Reputational grifters. I'm not sure who you're referring to. Oh, for the name. Okay, that might work. I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. But I don't hate it, for sure. I kind of like it. It's in the right direction, for sure, as far as a better title than propagandists. Because that is more... It is more narrowed down, because propagandists is way too broad, like I was saying. So that does help narrow it down a little bit. I think there probably could be a better term, but we can keep brainstorming for sure. But that's not a bad one at all. I just that's amazing. Okay. Well, anyway, that topic is a separate one from what we're discussing, so we can disagree to disagree as well. That is totally okay. And okay.
Hey, my friend, in this video, I want to give you a behind the scenes look from someone with inside information about how mega influencers become captured and controlled, where they go from someone who you once respected as an independent thinker to now someone who
Am I tripping? Is there no speed? Oh, I had to scroll down. It didn't look like there was a scrolling situation. That looks new.
It's Trump's talking points 100% of the time. Here's an example of that.
You're not going to put something with his name on it that's not the art of the peace deal. And look, I said before, I think he deserves a Nobel Prize.
Yes, he ended the Iran war that he started. It's the art of the peace deal. Give him the Nobel Prize. He's a prime example of what I'm talking about. And I'll share with you exactly how these influencers get captured. How do I know? They tried to do it to me. And by the way, it's not money. Hey, welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my freedom-loving friend. This is the night of the Iran war peace deal that is winning, according to MAGA. When you look at it, it's like, well, that's objectively a loss. I thought, well, this is a great opportunity to share.
Speaking of the peace deal in general, oh, by the way, I heard that we're bombing them again or something. It it almost hurts to follow everything in the Iran situation, because every time it seems like, oh, it's finally almost over, and then bam. Nope, just kidding. So annoying. He called me a friend. I don't know how I feel about that. Oh no. No, he called me a freedom-loving friend. Oh, well, you're gonna have to find a way to live with it, I suppose. I'm not your buddy, friend.
Share with you exactly how these
I'm not your friend, buddy. I got that backwards. I apologize.
Influencers get captured. How they just seem like mindless, useful idiots, because they are. But you're confused because, like, once upon a time, like during COVID, they were like the truth tellers. What happened? Well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. And they're certainly out in full force now with our great excuse of Trump ended the war, therefore we're calling that a win. And
oh yeah, what I was going with that when I first brought it, I was going to say the whole, oh, the peace deal that was proposed, oh, it sucks for America, it's a loss, etc. And I'm worried that for something that a lot of people have said, including Tucker. Tucker did a video after the details of the potential peace deal. I don't know why I can't speak. Peace deal got leaked. That was a lot of P words in a row. Anyway, I have an excuse. I'm not a native English speaker. Anyway, so when that got leaked, and when Tucker was going over different points in the potential deal, the way that he was putting it kind of seemed like, I know he wasn't saying that because he said he still supports the deal because that's the best we're gonna get, but the way that he was talking about it for most of the episode seemed kind of like, I wasn't a fan of it. I don't know if we can, I don't know how much everyone cares to go and try to find the actual Tucker video that I'm talking about, but basically, TLDR, he was going point by point and going, wow, this is way worse for America. This is way worse than what we used to have previously. Iran is basically winning. We're so weak, etc. And while he wasn't wrong, a lot of commentary like that, I'm worried that Trump might see that, and then, or somebody might tell him, or he might see a clip or something, and he might be like, oh no, I can't look weak, and then trash it and start, I don't know, bombing Iran. Who could have thought that might happen? So that was my worry when I first heard it. And it's not like Tucker was the only one that did that. There were plenty of other people that also covered it in a similar manner. Not that they were saying they want the war, but they were like, well, this sucks. And sure, it was a great deal for Iran, but also they are their own country. Nobody really, like, who made us? Police is such a commonly used word. Like, we are basically the world police, and that's, people say that all the time, so it's almost cliche to say it at this point, but who made us the world police? Like, who made us judge, jury, and executioner of any other country, basically? As a country, we basically seem like we can go and decide what happens, what other countries do inside their own situation. And anyway, so it makes sense from perspective of, well, countries should determine their own destiny, right? Israel deserve to determine their own destiny? What about Ukraine deserves to determine its own destiny? We say that about all the countries that it's convenient for us at the moment, but when another country wants to determine its own destiny, we're like, oh, wait, but this one is different because reasons. So that's in the way that it makes it seem like we're not the police of the world. In that way, the deal was bad. But in the way that, oh, it's another country wants to do what other countries do, it seemed kind of okay. So obviously, it was giving Iran a lot more than they had before as far as freedom from our meddling. But, I mean, we killed a lot of their people and bombed them and stuff. And so maybe we do need to give up some more stuff if we you don't go into even if it's your neighbor in the same, I don't even know, in the same neighborhood, not like your next door neighbor, but it really doesn't matter. If you even in the same town, like say you live in the same town, not even the same neighborhood, and you go over to somebody's house, okay, it's not even the same town, it's not even close. Say you live in the same planet as somebody else. I guess one country. Say you live in the same country as somebody else, and say it's just like a different state or something. Like you live in Wyoming and they're from I don't know, New York. Say, and you go to their state and you go to their house and you off half their family and their dog and completely destroy their place and then burn it down and walk away. That person should have some justification to come back to you and be like, hey, are you going to pay me back for that? If clearly there's not going to be any hope of us going to prison in this situation because it's, well, nothing bad ever happens to us, right? But it would make sense that person who went and did all that stuff would owe some sort of restitution, I guess, is that the right word, for doing all that stuff. Because you don't just go to somebody's place and start destroying it and offing their family and then walk away and be like, do no, nothing to see here, and then sort of stop and be like, oh, now you get to be praised for stopping offing their family. Maybe they have like more family members next door and you're like, well, I'm not gonna off those ones, and then you get a medal for that, apparently, for not offing more people. Anyway, this analogy is getting kind of ridiculous, but are you going to be live tomorrow? No, that I am not. That would be a lot of live in a row, but I do have a video coming out. I'm almost done editing it, so I do have a video dropping probably tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Monday. But it's been almost done for a few days now. It's just this week has been kind of shitty. Anyway, I'm gonna quit whatever I'm doing now and resume this.
Jack Posobiec, who you saw in the opening clip, like, give him the Nobel Peace Prize. He started the war, but like, let's give him the Nobel Peace Prize. That almost doesn't make sense. You sound like an idiot. Yep, but I'm a useful idiot. And before I tell you exactly how it happens, just bring you up to speed with a little context. Obviously, you look at the peace deal agreement, and if you're like a logical person with a functioning brain, you'd say, well, this picture pretty well captures the deal. Now, personally, I think like the deal is absolutely terrible, but I think it's a good idea to take the terrible deal because the alternative is much worse. Alternative being continued war, worse life, end of life for many people. Don't want that. And you see President Trump and his administration literally gaslighting people. You know, a big part of the deal that's getting a lot of attention and
gotta call it. We should catch up with you. Oh, well, good night. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, sorry it's probably late for some people, but yeah, it will be up. And feel free to comment, and I'll try to respond to any comments you might have. But thanks for stopping in.
Shall we say pushback is, well, the U.S. is going to give Iran $300 billion. Take that, terrorist state. You're not mad at us anymore for bombing you, are you? All right, don't do terrorism on us. Here's $300 billion. So people really don't like that. And President Trump and literally the White House, this is the White House sharing out President Trump's Truth Social, are literally lying about it. They're lying, gaslighting about it, saying, here's what President Trump says. There is no $300 billion payment to Iran by the U.S. That's fake news. Got it. Community noted, we can see, well, that's actually 0.6 of the memorandum of understanding, you know, this stage of the peace deal. And this is all over the place. It's just objectively $300 billion is...
Also, Tucker also recently had somebody on his show. I didn't watch all of it because I was like, oh, it's so annoying. But I don't know if he was some like social media person for, was it for Trump or was it for some other? I thought maybe it was for Trump. But anyway, he had some guy on and he was just spilling propaganda left and right. Like just out of his ears, propaganda was coming out everywhere. And he said the exact same thing too, that guest on Tucker's show, that, oh, well, it's not really we're not paying them the 300,000, whatever the amount is. It's not taxpayer dollars or something. I don't know if that caveat matters exactly, but he made it seem like a big deal. So yeah,
Something Trump agreed to.
just something I saw recently. Even though, oh yeah, and when I saw that, but I was like, wow, it's interesting Tucker didn't say anything about that, because didn't he just do an episode where he went through point by point of this deal that got leaked? And I could have sworn I heard him cover this payment thing, like this exact thing that his guest days later literally just said that was fake news. You're not gonna be like, oh yeah, I covered this that day. Can you tell me exactly why it's not news that is true? Why is it news that is fake? Well, he didn't do that. He just sort of, interesting. Okay. So that was weird. And it was, I almost gaslighted myself because I was like, well, did I not hear him? Maybe he didn't say that last time. Maybe I made that up or something. What is going on here? But I didn't have time to go back and look. So if I have time later and I'm still curious, I might go back and look and try to find exactly where he was saying the money thing and then the guest in that position. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a clip about it if I find it, but I couldn't didn't have time earlier. But basically that's how I remembered it. And then I started to like gaslight myself into thinking that, oh, maybe he didn't say that. Maybe it was completely different. But I really do remember him saying that. So I don't know. Weird. Phantom, welcome back. Nice to see you.
To pay Iran to give them rebuilding costs. And that matters because like that's really crappy. And if you just say it's sunshine and roses, you start to look like an absolute liar. As the Trump loyalists, the MAGA crowd has become. Why? Because they're captured in control. Before we get to how they're captured in control, just this out. Boom. President Trump has officially brokered another peace deal. This ends the conflict with Iran, Israel, and the Middle East. At what point does he get the Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh, yes. Posobiec. Oh, for the longest time, why is it loading? What's it doing? Anyway, on Posobiec, I have seen him sort of around. He was doing like a podcast here, a talk there, but I did not know that he was TPUSA. I thought he was just some dude doing stuff and trying to be this like right-wing influencer. I guess there's like, I don't know how long he has been TPUSA, but I did not know he was TPUSA until it's sort of he was just there all the time in the building. And when I started looking into the Kirk stuff, it seemed like he was always around. And I was like, is he like in TPU? And then it seems like he might even have a show with them that they sponsor or own or something. I don't know how it works, but I'm gonna have to look into that at some point. But I was like, that I didn't even know he was a thing. But yeah, so here's another TPUSA connection. They're really just everywhere, aren't they? Yes, the Peace Prize for ending a war he started. That's pretty much exactly what JP said earlier. Yep. Oh, yep. Maybe we can start a war next year and get a second Peace Prize. That's always an option.
Jack doesn't stop there. Another tweet. Historic deal. The best Iran deal that's ever been.
What a clown. Well, we'll get to the TPUSA adjacent sort of thoughts in a bit, but let's sort of get through this part.
It is the best Iran deal that's ever been for Iran. Like, you can love America, but you can also tell the truth. And if you look at Jack Posobiec's Twitter and people like Benny Johnson, these MAGA people that no longer are aligned with truth, You see, their feeds are this stuff all day, every day. How did that happen? Well, let me tell you how it happens. At least one prime way how it happens. Is it money? No. Now, maybe some of these people are paid. I kind of doubt it. I doubt there's direct payment because they're paid with something they desire more than
Again, I still do think that some likely are paid. I don't know which ones, but I think there probably are some.
money. So I can't speak to none of these people.
And maybe not directly, but maybe like, oh, well, here's a contract position or like a speaking gig that pays a ridiculous amount for no great reason, or not probably not like direct, like you say this, I pay this, but that's also an option, of course. But if the ones that are getting some kind of monetary thing out of it, I think it's probably laundered in some way. But I I think that. Like I don't have evidence for you today. It's just sort of stuff that's been rolling around in my head for the past couple days, and I might I might look into a little bit deeper at some point, at least like which people specifically are likely to be the ones, which ones might be paid, which ones might be, etc. So, and look into just one by one some of these bigger names that are parroting the propaganda, basically.
are paid or some of them are paid. I don't have experience with that, and I don't think that's what most
That'd be a fun like side research project, but I have so many on the list.
of this is about that captures these people and takes them from truth tellers to propagandists, in this case for President Trump. So here's what happens, and I'll just share my story because it happened to me. They tried to capture me. It didn't work for them, and that's okay. I send my condolences. Here's what happens. A lot of these, call them influencer commentators, Jack Posobiec, Benny Johnson, I am one of them as well. What happened is we came onto the map of the Trump camp during COVID. We were outspoken truth tellers. These people I'll bash on today, I'll praise them for a lot of their work during COVID. Like, cool, they're telling truth, thank you. We need more of this. So that brought them onto the map of Trump's camp. And of course, during this time, as Trump was just ousted from the White House from Biden, and he had 4 years to, gather his marbles to run again in 2024. So certain people come onto the
Seems like he didn't gather the marbles well at all. It seems like he lost more of the marbles than he gathered.
radar of the Trump people. And what happens is the Trump people look at folks like this, like Jack Posobiec, like myself, and see they're becoming influential. And they have influence over the base that we want to vote for us. We can use them. Now, in many senses, that's just like, it's pretty harmless. Like, cool, do you support Trump? Yeah, I do. Cool, do you want to help him? Yeah, I actually do. But there's an indoctrination process. So as I came onto the radar of the Trump camp, and again, I'm sharing my story because I think this is very much a playbook. What you're gradually enticed with that's more enticing than money, and it's a bigger payment than money, is you get access to power. Now think about this. When you were in high school, what would happen inside your mind, your body, if the most popular kid in school came up, sat next to you in the lunchroom and just, was giving you praise? It's like, dude, the most popular kid in high school is like telling me I'm awesome. Like, damn, I feel good. I feel pretty good. Now, what happens if that's the most powerful person in the world, the most popular person in the world doing that? Do you think it could be, about 1 million times more intoxicating than the most popular guy or gal in high school?
When I heard this, I was like, that is a great way of putting that, because it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, well, duh, people seek influence, people want power, but I think that was a really great comparison, because a lot of people do think like, oh, well, influence, power, and they really do think of more of like, oh, the high school example, or like, oh, you're some guy runs a company or something, and he's like an important businessman, and you like know an important businessman who has a lot of money or something. But this is a whole different level of power that is hard for some people to even like imagine how much power people like that really have, and to like steer the world basically in one direction or another, which you could see how it would be very convenient to have these people who have all this power in your pocket, like have something on them, maybe. I don't know what it is that they have on Trump, but it seems like there probably is something. I don't know what it is, but it seems like he has enough money. But at the same time, something that I haven't gotten there yet, I was going to mention it later, but also like Erika Kirk, she's got enough money. She could not lift a finger and be set for the rest of her life. Her and her children, they'd be fine for the rest of their lives. Her entire family, like, they would all be fine. More than fine. They would be better off than almost anybody else. They would be completely spoiled rotten and not have to lift a finger ever. But does she, F off and disappear from public life and go and grieve with her children somewhere and on a bed of cash or whatever? However that's done. I don't know how that's done. I've never had that much money or that sort of situation specifically, but I imagine if I had a husband that was like that and that I lost, and then I was like really happy that he was gone because, I mean, look at her. And then I was also suddenly swimming in more cash than I was even before he died. And I mean, whatever that looks like, I can't imagine, but seems like it might not be that bad of a time, because especially since she doesn't seem like that broken up about it, but you never know. The marbles are gone. Is Trump the most popular person in the world? I think that's true. I don't think that... So recently, I know that, myself included, people have not liked him because of the decisions he's made. But even before that, a lot of people also did not like him. You don't necessarily... If you do compare it to high school, for instance, even the popular kids, a lot of people didn't like them. That's also true. So you don't have to be liked by everybody to be popular. You just have to be influential enough and well-known enough. That doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right, but I think if you really think about it, I think it makes sense. You swim in coins like Scrooge McDuck. That must be it. Anyway, so that's another thing. It's like, well, it's not always money, because if even people that have all this money, maybe there's something else. So, when I say like, oh well, maybe you can't really buy Trump because he already has so much money. Well, it's not like Erika Kirk is rejecting cash. She's still out there trying to make more and more and more of it. So I don't know if that really applies as an argument anymore. I used to make that argument. I used to be like, well, he has enough money, so you can't buy somebody that has enough money. But I don't think that's true anymore. Because look at all these people that have enough money that keep going for more and more and more of it. And sure, it's not only money that they're after, but it is part of it.
You can bet your butt it is. So what happens is the 2024 election cycle comes closer and closer. The Trump camp starts bringing influencers more and more into the inner circles, if you will. How do they do that? By giving you access and proximity to President Trump. It starts off like, hey, we'd love to have you at this rally in South Carolina.
Or it's like, oh, well, Trump will give you a personal interview. He'll sit down with you, Tim Pool. He will go on your on the, what is it, Timcast IRL show and sit down with you for 20 minutes. You can ask him anything. That is around the time when Timmy started going, well, he was always annoying in a way, but around when that started happening, now that I look back on sort of when I stopped watching Timcast and Timcast IRL and all that stuff, that was probably around the time when he had that interview with Trump and he was saying, oh, he was going to like the White House. He was invited here and there. When he was talking about that more and more, it seemed like that was also around the time when he started being worse and worse and worse as far as, well, being reasonable in general about anything. Like, it seemed like anything Trump did, Trump was a saint and could do no wrong in Tim Pool's eyes. Like, it seemed like no matter what it was, Trump must be doing the right thing and he would find some way to spin it. It was so icky. Anyway, so it does seem like this tracks, at least from my perspective, from the point of view of like a random audience member of these people. That does seem to make sense, at least.
cool. It'll be the rally. You kind of get into the special person's tent. And what the Trump campaign gets in exchange is you're doing social media stuff. Like, hey, I'm at the Trump rally. This is awesome. Such great energy. Be sure to like and subscribe. I got those invites. I never went. And then, you know, you get more and more popular. Therefore, you could be more and more useful to them. You're brought even closer to the inside. You get more access and power.
Oh, and speaking of rallies, who was it that we know that was like a special-ish guest at the Trump rallies? Well, Erika Kirk was invited to that first one in Arizona, right? With Tyler Boyer was another person that we know of that I think, didn't he like organize it or something? Anyway, so it does seem like the more we look at this and we're like, oh, look at all this TPUSA circle people. I think I just saw a mosquito again. That is incredibly annoying. I killed 2 mosquitoes today and I got bit like 3 times. I don't know what is happening, but it is driving me crazy. Anyway. I hate mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes so much. I feel like I'm going to get bit again. Oh, I just saw it. I think the light doesn't help either, but also they want to eat me.
Now you're meeting President Trump on occasion.
Oh yeah, so Erika Kirk seems like she also might be part of this, like, oh, well, Trump is like your buddy now, and we'll get more into it, but basically it does seem like, oh, well, don't you want to like be buddies with Trump? He's like so powerful, and why don't you go to his rally? Why don't we put you right behind Trump right there? That's like super special, and why don't we invite you to this event? Why don't we give you this kind of access and put you on this random committee or Air Force Academy, whatever thing, and why don't you go get like an award from Trump personally? Why don't you go have a meeting with Trump and etc. So it does seem like this TPUSA crowd, they also get this stuff. And funny that he mentioned Posobiec, because Posobiec was also apparently TPUSA. Like I said earlier, I did not know that for the longest time, but when I started looking into the Kirk stuff, I was like, huh, he seems to be hanging around these people all the time. And like, oh, wow, he actually seems to work for them. That is interesting.
And then it goes, and by the way, how much more loyal to a person do you, let alone the most popular person on the planet, if you don't have a solid sense of self, how much more and more loyal do you think you're becoming to that person? Not the truth, that person. Well, you get more loyal the more access you get. You feel special. You feel powerful being next to the most powerful person. And you can tell people, you tell your audience that, yeah, I hung out with Trump this weekend. That is such a power trip. It's just pure ego. I'm just calling it, I'm not making it good or bad. I'm just saying what it is. It is such a power trip. And guess what? You don't want to lose it. And the journey continues. You get invites into an even more inner circle thing. I remember one of the invites I got was to fly with President Trump on his plane. It was an Air Force One. He was out of office. We'll get back to the video in just a second. By my daily vite form from some like eating liver for me. We're quite my crave supplement in such and such town. Do you want to fly with him to the rally on his Trump private plane? And I had my son that weekend or on the schedule, and I didn't want to sacrifice that. So I said, I otherwise would. That'd be cool. But I'm not going to make it. Which, by the way, choosing family over just at the White House, you know, it's probably just photo op garbage, but Easter egg hunt, the White House lawn, you're there with President Trump. Then I had something else going on that was my priority, so I declined that invite. None of it was out of rebelliousness about, like, I think this process is corrupt.
At least he's honest about that, because I could see somebody else being like, when they just couldn't make it to a bunch of things on accident, coming back and looking back at it and be like, oh, well, I back then I already knew that this was all a trap, and I was just so noble in my pursuits that I basically rejected it because I knew it was like a thing to get me to lie for Trump or whatever. I'm glad he's not saying that, because that would make this so cringe. But at least he seems like he's honest about it, which is nice. The Societe Gingray does not recognize JP and offers no protection there too. Professor Hizzle, are you also of the ginger of the gingers? Is it of the ginger or of the gingers? Anyway.
Basically an innocent process that can lead people to corrupt themselves when they start going for the power of proximity over loyalty to truth.
I could see that. And I could see this also happening without a person even noticing that they're doing it. Because it's like, oh well, it's just this one time. I'm not gonna mention this, and oh, just this one time, I'm gonna say this thing that protects the person that I'm worried about liking me, and just one more time this and just one more time that becomes a pattern of, well, liar, liar, pants on fire. So before they know it, they're probably too deep. And by that point, if they do ever realize what happened to them, it's probably too late to turn around because that's all they have. I mean, as soon as they turn around and they're like, oh, well, actually, sorry, I lied to everybody, but this guy actually sucks. And actually, he's, this and this, and what I really think about the war, and here's what I really think about the Epstein files, and here's what I really think he should have done here and there. You're going to lose the access, so you won't be popular with that person. And I mean, some people would appreciate the honesty, but a lot of people would be like, well, what gives? You lied to us. And then all of those people, like all of their audience, would see them as a liar now, and they would lose that support. So it's a lose-lose situation for a person that is already deep into it. Like if they didn't notice themselves doing it and they sort of found themselves there, even if they did realize that leaving the spot that they're in and going back and telling the truth, that sounds like a lose-lose scenario. Either way, you lose both the access and the person, Trump in this case, and you lose the audience that you used to have and the audience that you might, well, the audience that didn't like you is still not going to like you. So that's a lose-lose-lose, like a triple lose scenario, I guess.
Truth, loyalty to the person over loyalty to truth. And then what happens? Now you are hooked on this very, very strong sense of power. You don't want to lose it, and guess what? You only want more of it. And you've become self-identified. And the Trump administration, they did a really smart thing. When Trump got back into office with a White House press corps, they opened it up to specific influencers. It's like, yeah, the fake news media, they're corrupt, which they are. So we're going to bring in some of these influencers, give them press passes. They can be at the White House regularly. I remember seeing Tim Pool online. He was there. I believe Benny Johnson's a regular. I'm not sure about Jack Posobiec, which none of these people can I speak to. This is exactly what happened to them. It's my way of saying this is what they tried to do to me, and I'm guessing most of them, this is what happened to them. So you get...
It makes sense. And again, we can't say for sure for, well, anyone unless they come out and admit. Or some stuff spills, like some stuff did get, well, he'll mention it here in a bit.
Special inner circle access, and the more frequent you get it, the more you are hooked on it.
Because there was a leak somewhat recently that happened where someone leaked the messaging that went out, and basically everybody who was tweeting the same or similar stuff, they had leaked some documents or something, or some evidence that a bunch of people were basically told to say that.
So you will avoid doing anything that will make it get taken away. What would make it get taken away? Well, you see President Trump about a year ago come out and say, this Epstein file stuff is a hoax. So we're going to move on and screw anybody that doesn't want to do that. You can look at him and be like, well, that's not what I think. That's not what I think. And if you're vocal with that, you're going to lose access. You just look what Trump's done to the congressmen like Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, and that's more than you're going to lose access. He is going to destroy you. Something that I was also thinking recently is, I think Massie and MTG, I think they were meant to be, like, we'll make an example out of them kind of situation. Not only were they excluded access-wise, but they were literally removed from their positions. I mean, MTG technically gave it up and quit, but he was going to primary her anyway. And even Massie, arguably the most, out of all the politicians in Congress, arguably the most honest and decent person, even he was not immune from just enough money pumping in, or whatever it is that they did. Whatever the reason that he lost, it seems like Trump really can affect the removal of Congress people. I mean, that's terrifying. I don't care who you are. You shouldn't be able to basically single-handedly declare war on somebody and then however many people lose their representative in government. That's scary. That's a scary amount of power. And I guess you could see how that scary amount of power seems like, oh, well, if you can get them on your side, or rather, if you can act like you are with them and you're on their side, and sort of group yourself together with that power, then other people might see you as more powerful as well. I think it makes sense. So.
He's going to primary Lauren Boebert, the 3 primary crusaders for Epstein transparency. You look at what he did to them. So do you think you'd be cut off? Absolutely, in a heartbeat. So what happens is, out of the loyalty, which is really your addiction to this sense of power you get by being a special person to the most popular, most powerful person in the world, you will just see things from a different point of view. Oh yeah, he campaigned saying the Epstein files were real and he's going to release them. That's not really how I see it anymore, because the way I see it is, as a nation, we would just be better served moving on to other issues, devoting those resources to the issues that are going to, lower the price at the pump for everyday Americans. So I'm guessing most of these people aren't even told, you better shut up about this and here's what to say. Though that definitely happens. There's documented times of that happening. Here's the one.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one that I was going to say he's going to mention, is there was a leak not long ago.
White House Correspondents' Dinner, the shooting, here's the talking points we emailed out. Like, that got leaked out. So that does happen, where they directly say, here's what to say about it.
Oh, is that the one? Okay, so I guess it seems like there's more than one leak, because I think, now that I think I heard it again, I think he's talking about the one that Candace recently broke the news of, like, here's the email that named her as an emotional asset, and like that video of her crying, going like, I want to go home. Sorry, I want to go home. I can't do it. Anyway, it seems like there was more than one leak, because there was another leak that I remember happened shortly before. Was it before that? I don't remember if it was before that or after that. But there was another leak that happened where it was another event. I don't remember exactly what I wish I remembered. I don't remember exactly the context of it, but I do remember there was another leak of somebody that got this, like, oh, here, you say this so-and-so. Something was leaked that exposed a bunch of these influencers as basically reposting talking points. And it wasn't just that. So that was another one that happened. So it seemed like there's more than one leak that happened, and more than one piece of evidence that seems like people are getting talking points, at least.
But for the most part, what makes this system function so well is it's unspoken. You don't have to be told what to do, because you just instinctively know what to do if you're choosing the addiction to power over loyalty to truth. And that's why you saw, some of the same people that were same like truth-seeking influencers crusading, we need Epstein justice. Then you see them with those fake Epstein binders, like, hey, we got the first look. And then you see them being the very people that say, we need to move on from this Epstein stuff. Like, there actually isn't a list. In lockstep, wow, did you know President Trump is saying exactly that? So in other words, with all the different issues or points that I have issues with about Trump over the past year, the Epstein files, Palantir spy on our privacy is certainly that's a big one. Going to war with Iran, bending over for Israel every chance you get. You see these influencers happen to see it Trump's way 100% of the time, which seems like they've had a 180-degree change in their relationship with truth. Well, it seems that way because it is that way. And what I'm sharing with you now is how that happens.
I think it makes sense. I think we kind of get the point here. I don't think we need to sort of go through the rest of it, because he does kind of talk about, like, oh, well, I could do this, I'm going to do that, and here's what I had to do instead, and he kind of repeats some of the things. So I don't think we need to get into the rest of it. I think we get the point. And when I saw this, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And when I thought about it some more, I was starting to connect it to the Kirk stuff, since that's what I've been investigating recently. And I was like, that seems to apply here. Because what have we heard about Kirk over and over and over? What have we heard? Is that he had the president's ear. He had influence on the president. He was going to see him. He was basically talking to him all the time, giving advice, etc., etc. Gas mask, hello. He's right, yeah. It makes sense for sure. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Anyway, let me switch over here. So yeah, so I was thinking, and I was like, I kind of touched upon this earlier. I was like, well, okay, with Erika, it makes sense. Obviously, we all understand it's not about the money for her. She wants to be famous and influential. She was always trying to do this modeling thing. She wants people to look at her. She wants to talk to a big crowd of people praising her. Whatever she has going on, it seems like an instance of, oh, I want to be influential and popular. That is there's very few people I can even think of that could possibly deny that. Even people that support her, um, I could I don't know how many of her supporters would even deny the fact that she has wanted to be a model, she wanted to be popular, she wanted to be um some sort of on YouTube or on TV. She was trying to do all the stuff. She wanted to be somebody that people looked at. She wanted to be famous. She always wanted to be famous. If you just look at her life, it seems like anything she could possibly do to get in front of any possible camera, she like ran after it. So uh, I, I think anybody would be pressed to deny that, even if people like her. For I know some people don't see it. They see, oh no, the widow. She lost her husband. She's got these two kids. The poor lady, because they had some sort of experience in their own life, and they're sort of projecting their own real pain on her alleged pain. So I don't know exactly what it is, but there are still a lot of people, and that number is shrinking, but there are still quite a few people that are defending her. And I don't think all of them are these people that I'm talking about, like, what was the name somebody up here had? Reputational Grifters, Party USA. So far, that's still the best we've gotten. I haven't seen any better names than that, or descriptors than that. It seems like that's the best one we have so far, at least. I think I would like one that's a little more description than that, but that's the best one I've got so far. So we'll go with reputational grifters for now. So I don't think every single person that is defending Erika Kirk is a reputational grifter. I think some of them are literally just people that are projecting their own real grief onto her, or they're trying to relate in some way, and whatever it is that they're projecting, it's not coming from, oh, look at her real grief. It's just people are just feeling bad for her. It's more like people have their own thing, and they're like, oh, well, she must be feeling the same. And it builds this sort of camaraderie situation, and then they see people pointing out, like, hey, why did she lie over here? Why did she say that? This is all messed up. And they see that as like, oh no, they're attacking the poor widow, and then they even further have to, or they feel like they have to defend her even more, because now it's like, oh, the poor widow is being attacked. Imagine if I was being attacked when this bad thing happened to me, and what that would feel like. And then they're again projecting that sort of situation onto her situation. So that is my opinion. This whole show is basically opinions. I don't know if you've noticed, but I put speculation. No, I don't think I put it that one. I have another alternate thumbnail that has speculation on it. I probably should have gone with that one, but anyway, the whole show is speculation. In case that wasn't obvious. But anyway, so as I was saying, with Erika Kirk, I think it's kind of obvious that, okay, sure, it's not all about money for her, but she does also take the money. A lot of it. She will also take the money. And again, with all of these people that we're talking about here, a lot of them might also be paid. Maybe not a lot, maybe a few of them, at least some of them might be paid in some way. Maybe not directly, like I was saying earlier. Maybe it's like, oh, here's a ridiculously large speaking fee for, like, go talk for 20 minutes. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's other opportunities that do make money, but more in a roundabout way. Not like, oh, here's, $5,000, post this on your social media, which might also happen. But so we have that, and we have like, okay, well, Erika Kirk, she likes the money, she wants to take the money, but she wants the power, the influence. But is it just her? No, I don't think it's just her. What about these other people? Because, again, since this is a very, like, speculation episode, I'm not like, oh, here's a fact here, here's count whatever there. We're not doing that live here. This is more just kind of, oh, I just noticed some stuff, and I saw this, and then I thought about some more, and here's just stuff that's kind of bumping around that I'm spilling. So what about everybody else? Because let's go for a moment here. Let's assume that there is a cover-up, which, in my opinion, it does seem like there is a cover-up. I don't know exactly who placed the whatever weapon that ended his life, but there were more than like a handful of people in on it. It wasn't just the one person that literally either fired or placed or whatever the weapon. It was the logistics around it. Whoever was in the car with him on the way to the hospital that they're lying about, whoever was part of the FBI or that came in and started like allegedly possibly planting evidence. All of these people are potentially part of a cover-up. So if we for a minute assume like, okay, there's a cover-up, let's assume there is, and okay, let's assume that there's at least dozens of people that know that at least something is going on that is not the truth. Like something is going on that the people are being lied to about it, and maybe they don't know exactly who the other people are. Maybe some of them don't know exactly who it was that placed the charge or shot the whatever. Maybe they don't know who else is involved, but somebody at the top of whatever this is, they do. They know everybody who is involved. They know exactly whose job was to do what and whose job is still to do what up to this day. Because the cover-up doesn't end with the event. It's mostly what happens afterwards. Well, what is it that these people are doing this for? Like, why don't they come out and be like, oh, well, I was told to do this, and now that I'm realizing what it was really about, I think it's wrong, and people should know. And if people like that came forward, if there are people out there that maybe they feel guilty about it, maybe they don't, maybe they want praise, they would get it. I think if people came out and they were like, I was a part of so-and-so, or maybe they were in the military, say that, let's just pretend for a minute there is somebody that was in the military and they were ordered to do X, Y, and Z. And at the time, they didn't really know what it was about, but later they put together 2 and 2, and they were like, oh, wow, this obviously was to cover up this, and that, or to perform so-and-so task for this event of the century, as Erika says. Or, sorry, I think that was supposed to be the memorial afterwards, but whatever. You get the point. So, what is it that these people are getting? I'm sure that a lot of them are getting paid, but is money enough? How much money is enough money to basically be part of a conspiracy like this? And especially for people who might have a conscience still, who might be like, maybe they're being eaten up inside every day for like, oh my god, there's a man died and his young children are now without a father, and like maybe they feel like, oh well, guilt for being part of it. Maybe I hope so. I hope at least that the guilt is there, because if they don't, then but I mean, how many psychopaths can you find? Because there's only so many out there, and sure, they do tend to gravitate towards positions of power and influence, but there's only so many psychopaths out there. You gotta, at least some of these dozens of people have to be like regular people with regular sort of desires and weaknesses and strengths, etc. So at least some of them are non-psychopath regular people who would feel guilt at something like that, who would feel bad for doing something like that. Oh, I see the mosquito. Oh, crap. It's gone. I hate the mosquitoes so bad. They're the worst. They really are the worst. And it's the worst when, like, you know there's one and you can't get it, but you know you're gonna get bit, and you can't get it, but you know you're gonna get bit. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. Anyway, so what is it that these people can get? Well, maybe they can get influence, or maybe at least they can think they're gonna get influence, because how many people can you really be in this like inner circle and get to Trump and get to like hang out with Trump before it becomes, one, so many people that it's not cool anymore, like it's not exclusive anymore because there's just so many people, and two, how many people can he really like handle seeing on an often enough basis for them to have this, like, oh, I have a special access or whatever. So there is a limit there. What about everybody else? So you have some inner circle, and then you have the people that are a little bit outside of that, that maybe you make them feel like they have a shot. Maybe it's not, so there's like a core group that are getting the extra access. They're getting invited to these events. They're getting invited to go on Trump's plane, etc. But again, limited number of people. What about everybody else? Is it just money? For some of them that are psychopaths, sure. For the psychopaths, they don't care. They might get paid. Maybe they'll get enjoyment out of it, whatever. For the regular people, sure, money, of course. But also, do they maybe make them feel like they can get in this inner circle? They're not literally in the inner circle. They're not getting the benefits. They're not going to hang out with Trump. But maybe they're seeing, oh, well, these other people, they're parroting everything that Trump says or the administration tells them to do. And look what they get. Look, so I don't think that it ends there. I don't think it ends with, oh, well, here's some people that are influencers and they started supporting Trump, but now they get all this special access and now they parrot everything he says because they don't want to lose the influence. I think that is true. I think that is absolutely the case, but I don't think it ends there. I think another role that these people play is like the example, like, oh, well, so and so, if they tried the line, they don't cross the line, they go right up to that line and they don't cross it. In fact, they're running away from the line. The line is like way in the opposite direction now. They were up near the line, but now that they're hanging out with Trump, they're like way not even touching it. And everybody else that is sort of in the orbit or the wider orbit of these specific influencers that do get the access, they're like, well, so-and-so gets access to the most powerful person, and I know so-and-so, or even people that don't. But for now, we'll stick to the ones that are closer to them. So it's like a ring situation. There's like this inner ring and this outer rings, and it keeps going like more outer and outer until we get to, well, here's everybody that's like just a normal person, everybody else that isn't part of anything and have no hope of ever becoming influencers in that way of like getting close to Trump or whatever, or have no desire to, or everybody else, basically everybody else. But within these like inner circles where you eventually get to, well, there's Trump, you get these outer layers where I don't know exactly how many layers out it would go, maybe like 2, 3, 4 layers out. Those are different positions of people who, and large numbers of them, who are like, well, I have some influence. I have, say somebody has like hundreds of thousands of followers, and they'll tweet to their hundreds of thousands of followers, so-and-so, of whatever the people with millions of followers have that do get access. They'll be like, well, this person has 1 million followers and they're tweeting to all their followers about how Trump needs their Nobel Peace Prize. So if I do that, maybe I can be like them and hang out with Trump and then be more influential and etc. So they're like seeing these people and being like, well, if I just do what they're doing, then I'll get what they get. Kind of makes sense on the surface, right? So I do think that that is part of it. And I don't know how intentional all of that is, but it seems to work out awfully well for the people in the center. So, and something else that I've been thinking, I know that since Charlie, died, regardless of the manner that he died in, it seems like something that happens when people die is a lot of people start sort of treating them as if they were completely innocent of all faults, like they had no faults, they never did anything wrong, they were just this pure innocent person, and they couldn't possibly be swayed. They were just this, the way that TPUSA wants Charlie to be. They want Charlie to be a martyr, a complete, like, saint-like figure, and you gotta for Charlie whatever they say. Whatever they say for Charlie. That's their hope anyway. And I think it is working more or less. And I think when somebody does die, that is something that people do when it's not even famous people, even people that you might know on a personal level, that's something that, like, don't speak ill of the dead. That comes from somewhere, not speaking ill of the dead. It's such a common human thing to do, or to rather not do, to not speak ill of the dead, that um, I think in this case we might be overlooking things about Charlie. Like, was Charlie one of those people? Was Charlie going out there and getting all this access? Because what do we hear about Charlie Kirk? What do we hear about Charlie Kirk, like, all the time? He had Trump's ear. He was talking to Trump. He was meeting with Trump. He was going to Congress. He was doing this. So it seems like Charlie Kirk did get all this access. He did go and meet with Trump apparently all the time. And from his stated positions, some of the times he's very anti-war, but then he will go meet with Trump and he doesn't want to lose that, whether it was because he was captured in the same way as these other influencers of either consciously or subconsciously, like, well, I gotta lie because I'm going to lose influence, or is it more of a there is an option where it's more pure, where it's like, well, I really do want to end the wars. I don't want the wars, so I gotta, meet with him in private and sort of talk him out of it, but publicly support him so that he still meets with me. Like, I can see that being a strategy. I'm not ruling that out as an option. But again, when I say things like that, I'm trying to catch myself so that I don't sort of fall into this trap of, well, don't speak ill of the dead, and maybe that's why I'm maybe not leaning towards the harsher option. So I have to really look at what it is that I'm thinking, I'm saying, and try to avoid falling into this trap of, like, yes, somebody died, but are they completely innocent of all things ever? No, obviously, human beings are fallible. He was a human being. He was a very influential one, but what about other influential people? Like, there are plenty of influential people that are not great people. In fact, there are fewer influential people that are great people, I would say. I would say more people who seek the most influence, the largest influence, they tend to not be great people. So, likewise, oh, good. Jimmy James says he would have been a great voice against Israel. He had only just started speaking up about the evils of Israel when he died. Out of the bad stuff he said, one good thing was his view of Israel. I agree. I absolutely agree. And I was actually getting to somewhere in that direction. I think we're on the same page here. Because it seems like, well, I have some examples here that I'm going to pull up if all goes well. Cross my fingers. But there are times that I'm describing here where, like, when Trump first started bombing Iran last year, was it last year, or was it a little longer? Anyway, around a year ago, before, like, this new war, whatever we're calling it, started. It seems like Charlie Kirk was coming out there and supporting everything he did. He still said, "Oh, well, I don't want boots on the ground," and this, and he would hedge it. But I mean, where do things go if you start bombing a country? If it's not like things just magically start working out and everybody is like, well, I know you were bombing us, but I'll give you whatever you want, and let's just make peace, and I'll never do anything to get back at you ever. Because people don't work like that. That's not how it works. If you bomb a country, it's more likely that you're just going to piss them off, and then it's going to expand and get bigger and bigger conflict, and bigger conflict than that, and then other countries will start getting involved, and then you have, next thing you know, you turn around and you have World War 5000. If you do things like this one after another after another. I mean, what else do you expect? It's human beings. That's how they react. If you attack them, they are gonna want to hit you back. So let me see if I can pull some of these examples up in the best way that might work here. Let's do. So we can start with the Iran stuff. Let's see. Here we go. Yep, okay. 1 second. Let's see if these clips work out right. Oops. I know what I'm doing. I totally know what I'm doing. I know how to work things. I should. You wouldn't if you didn't. Well, people don't. I mean, if you don't like know what my day job is, you probably would never guess what my day job is with how technology just does not agree with me when I try to stream and how many issues I have. Like you would never guess that that's my day job is tech stuff. Like it's actually pretty funny how that works out. Like you're supposed to be this professional at one thing, and then you do something somewhat adjacent in a way, and that particular aspect of it you just can't get right. All right, let's see if where'd it go? Oh, I was looking for the wrong thing. Okay, that should be right. Oh, I don't see it. And no. Nope, not here, not here. It's not this one, not this one. No, it's not showing up. I don't know why. Let me try something else here. Let's do, this should be better. Oops. Yeah, this should work better. And is it gonna, no, really? Come on. This is crazy. This is crazy. Why would it not? Oh, there we go. Finally. You see what I mean? It does not seem to agree with me. Oh, now what? My goodness. Oh, really? Really? Let me do this a different way. I can do this. I'll figure it out. I'm like halfway there, but for some reason it's being icky. Let's do this. Oops. Man. Why is it? There we go. Jeez. This should not be that difficult. This should not. What? Why is this like this? And now it really, I'm really breaking it. Okay, can't do that. Start over. And continue on. Oh my goodness, this is so annoying. I'll get it in a minute. But I do have the clips pulled up. It's just not cooperating. There we go. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting there. All right. I'm not gonna bother cropping it because that's just gonna take forever. I'll just go like this. Put you right here. And yeah, hopefully that does it. All right. Re-examination. Hello, welcome back. Tech people are notoriously bad at tech, though. I don't feel so bad anymore. That's good. Tech meets art. Good at tech, bad at art. That's why we need a bird cam. Oh, that's a good idea, but he's sleeping right now. But yeah, I mean, if he was like a well-behaved little birdie that did not completely crazy stuff and stayed in one spot and was, well, not sleeping during the times that it streamed, that would be interesting for sure. But yeah, It sounds a lot easier to do than it is in reality. Definitely not a bird. All right, well, here we go. So here's a few examples of, this was back when he was still alive, of the Iran stuff that was going on at that time.
Get a nuclear weapon. Iran has decided to forego diplomacy in pursuit of a bomb. This is a surgical strike operated perfectly. President Trump acted with prudence and decisiveness. Now, additionally, let's actually read President Trump.
So these are examples of, well, here's Charlie Kirk, and here he's, on one hand, he's going on about how he's very anti-war, he doesn't want war is the worst thing that could happen, Trump has no new wars. But when Trump turns around and does stuff like that, that obviously leads to a war, and it's still like, sure, you can call it not a war, but it's a war. Like, Russia doesn't call the Ukraine war a war, but it's a freaking war. Like, that's what it is. I mean, we can call bombing another country a not war, but I mean, what does it matter if you don't call it that, if you're bombing another country? Like, we can call it potato and it's still bad. That's not, anyway, a separate situation somewhat. I think I have to do this every time in this manner, but
everybody. Everyone says, oh, World War III, price of oil is going $180 a barrel. Understand this. President Donald Trump did two things simultaneously. No nuclear weapons for Iran and no endless wars. Remember, Jack, we talked about that was President Trump.
And by the way, look who's here. Posobiec. Again, for the longest time, I did not know that he even worked for TPUSA or was in any way associated with the Charlie Kirk show or anything like that until recently, when he was just popping up left and right at TPUSA everywhere. So looky who we have here. So what, again, to the point of like, a person is dead and now we don't want to think about him negatively, but here he is saying all the same stuff that Posobiec was saying, that we just criticized Posobiec for saying, in a way that makes him look like he is, what is it we're calling it again? I keep forgetting. Party USA, you gotta remind me when I forget. Reputational grifters. Here we have somebody, literally the same guy that was just in the JP video in the very beginning, the one that sort of kicked off that whole train of thought. That's that guy right there. There he is. They agree. He's posting similar stuff. He's saying similar stuff. And we can't, like, it's clear that we can't be like, oh, well, you know, Posobiec is a reputational grifter in this way. But, you know, Charlie Kirk, even though he's saying all the same stuff and associated with this person and is arguably even more likely in a way closer position to Trump than Posobiec, as a matter of fact, he's way closer to Trump. So he has this, like, way more incentive to keep something like that. He has a lot more to lose. If Posobiec turned around tomorrow, he wouldn't have as much to lose as if Trump turned around, or not Trump, as if Charlie turned around from Trump and started calling him, like, a pedo protector or whatever, and calling him out for, you know, bombing Iran and things like that. Like, Charlie had a lot more to lose, which is not that, something else that is kind of to the same point, but how, I don't know if everybody's aware of this. I know a lot of people don't follow, like, all the Charlie Kirk things, and there's a lot. There's a lot. I do plan on doing, like, a summary video at some point of, like, everything we've learned so far, especially since during the first several months I wasn't following the story at all. I was I didn't really buy the main narrative, but I wasn't really following that closely. And then I started following it more and more months later, and now I'm completely obsessed with it, obviously. But I think even for myself and other people who haven't been following this whole time and are now just noticing how, like, much way weirder this is than we even thought before, and now that they're following along, they missed out on a bunch of stuff that was important earlier. For instance, how one of the biggest points was that Charlie was messaging people about how he has no choice but to leave the Israel cause. And that is an example of him turning around, maybe not on a specific person like Trump, but a similar situation where he has this support, and in his case, he was getting the donations. I'm sure access was a part of it to specific people, but specifically in this case, a lot of people that GP was describing, they are specifically like, oh, well, they want the access. They want to feel powerful. Charlie had the access to Trump, but he was also getting money from these people that are, I don't know if they're necessarily other people. I mean, we don't think it's Trump directly, but it's possible that the same people that were paying Charlie, as in donating to keep his whole organization afloat and successful, like that does take money. And they were donating large amounts of money, like large donors. And if a lot of those large Jewish donors, as he described them, he also said something like he said something about Jewish donors meeting stereotypes or following stereotypes or something along those lines. So that is another aspect of people that were benefiting him, that if he were to turn around and start criticizing them, he would lose a lot of funds, and he might lose parts of his organization or his own organization. And as he also messaged some other people, he feared for his life. So not only was his organization and money loss and access and everything at stake, but also his own life, which, as much as I want to say, like, okay, well, look, he's right next to Posobiec and he's saying all the same stuff, and we can't call Posobiec a potential grifter in this like way, reputational grifter. It's starting to grow on me. I didn't like it originally, but I think it's starting to grow on me because we don't have anything better, and I'm really starting to like it. I wasn't a fan of it in the beginning too much. I liked it, but not loved it. I'm starting to like it a little bit more. The more I use it, I think the more I like it. So we can't say that Posobiec is potentially this reputational grifter, and then Kirk isn't when he's doing and saying the same stuff. But is it really all the same stuff? And up to what point? Because what is it that they don't want? They don't want to give up the access, they don't want to be called out, and they don't want to admit that they were wrong or that they lied, etc. So again, like I was saying, it's kind of a lose-lose situation if they suddenly stop now. Well, Charlie also seemed to have this other aspect of, well, they could kill him because he obviously feared for his life. He sent out messages saying so much. And even shortly before he passed, there was somebody else that came out that said that Charlie told him that he thought that Israel was going to end his life. That was before he even got. Which makes it way more like, it's one thing to come out after the fact and then say, oh, well, Charlie told me, by the way, this not. But this happened, like, this came out before he got. So that, I think that gives it more weight too. So I just wanted to mention those things in case not everybody was aware of those. But so because of those reasons, it makes me think about it more. And like, sure, he wasn't a saint. It seems like he possibly was a reputational grifter, at least partially. And not only reputational, but also these large donors that he, to his credit, turned away from in the end. Those large donors, he did spend years supporting them. He toed the line. He said what he needed to say to keep the money coming, to keep the cash flowing, and to keep his access to the most powerful man in the world. So it does seem like right before his life ended, he turned around, and at least from everything that we can piece together, it does appear that he gave that up. Like, he turned around and he was willing to give up the money. Like, all the millions and millions of dollars that were pouring into his organization, which was his entire life's work, he was willing to give that up. And he was fearing for his life, and yet he still went forward, and he was starting to speak out. Like, he was on the PBD podcast and sort of speaking out against some some of the Israel stuff, and none of it was even that egregious. It was kind of regular people stuff. But if he said it, obviously they took it very seriously, and well, look what happened to Charlie. But so because of the way that he appears to have acted near the end of his life, I want to give him more credit than Posobiec. Posobiec, if we go with this theory that he's potentially a reputational grifter, I don't know if money's also involved or not, but he's, in my opinion, he appears to be one of those reputational grifters. And it seems to me that he probably was, and in my opinion, still is one. But Charlie at least wanted out. Like, it seems like he not only wanted out, but he took steps to basically pull out of that situation, and it cost him his life, in my opinion. This whole show, I don't know if that was clear earlier, but this whole show is speculation. This whole show is just my opinions, basically. So yeah, I do want to give him more credit. I don't want to put him in the same bucket as Posobiec, even though at some point they were in the same bucket, and later on it seems like he pulled out of the bucket and started sort of standing on his own and grew a spine, and then his spine got also, unfortunately. I don't even understand how that... None of the physics of that situation makes sense. None of that, like, the shirt doesn't do that when a bullet does. None of it makes sense. All right, let me switch to the next one. It seems like I might have to switch screens when I switch clips because it makes it all large and weird. Let's see if I can make this faster next time. Oops. And I'll do this. Oh, where'd it go? Where's VLC? Oh my goodness. You gotta be kidding me. There we go. Always. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yep. So remember how with the JP thing, he was saying earlier how actually this same guy, Posobiec, how he was saying that, oh well, Posobiec, he's saying that Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. Hi, Glover Dark. Jimmy, you ever look at a picture of Tyler Robbins and Charlie Kirk together? They almost look like they could be related. I have not, but from looking at them separately, they don't look alike, in my opinion. But wait, is this your opinion? Did I mention this whole show is my opinion? Did I mention that? I don't know if I mentioned that. In case I didn't mention it already, this is my opinion. But no, I don't think they look alike. But I also haven't looked at them side by side, so maybe I'll try that later. But I really, like, without putting them side by side, I don't think that they look alike. There's always a fluff in here at some point. Like, at some point I start talking and somehow a fluff gets in here. And that's incredibly annoying. Okay. It's too bad we're not getting to 10K and I have to still wear this thing for a while because I can't be on time. Okay. Let's do this one.
We are going to remove Iran's nuclear capability. Jack, should Donald Trump be considered for the Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, Charlie certainly should. I believe the government of Pakistan just a couple of days ago nominated.
So it seems like he wasn't literally saying it right there. See how it gets annoying like that? But the way he phrased it, he was obviously, he knew what the answer was going to be. But this is getting annoying. I got to figure out a setting how to turn that off properly. Let's see. I don't know if we want to do all these clips because we kind of get the point. There's another one where he says that he said the dealmaker more praising Trump. No troops. Well, I guess we can do this one because this one's somewhat. Yeah, I think this one we might do real quick. Number 4. did that wrong. Why did it not open properly? And let's do... Well, I hate how this does what it does. I'll have to figure out settings for this later. I don't usually use this app, so that's why it's all like that. Excuse me. All right.
Peace through strength. Adversaries that understand you want peace, but you will use strength.
And there's no troops on the ground, no U.S.
Also, having Hegseth on, but just having somebody on is one thing if you're, if you have them on and you're pushing back. But if you have them on and you're agreeing with them, that's like endorsement.
troops dead, no nukes for Iran, no endless war, no Middle East conflict, no regime change. That's pretty awesome.
By the way, no Middle East, no Middle East conflict and no regime change. It's interesting that even here, when he was supporting Trump, he specifically called out the things that he would have a hard time walking back. So if he was alive today, I think having said that, basically, this wasn't the first or only time that he said those things. Like, he repeatedly said the whole, like, oh, no boots on the ground, no regime change, no endless conflict, etc. You could come back with, oh, well, it's not endless. It's only for so-and-so, so many weeks, so many months, so many years, so many, oh, oops, it's endless. So, sure, like, technically you could say it's not endless yet because we're still in it and it's going to end eventually. Just like, technically things eventually do end, but you know what I mean? He would have a hard time still supporting Trump after saying what he's saying over here, and with Trump doing what he's doing now, and with the regime change that was indeed the goal recently and was like boasted about. So having constantly said things like this, it's not surprising that it's awfully convenient for the Trump administration and Israel that he's not around anymore. It's awfully convenient for them. And again, like I was saying earlier, it's not like he said everything right. There are a lot of things that I disagree with him on. I literally have, when I first started the channel, there's a video where there was a clip of Charlie Kirk on that Jubilee thing, and I strongly disagreed with him. I thought he said something completely disgusting on that show. And again, kind of indifferent about him in general, but like I have like a history of at least that one time criticizing something specific that he's about. And I don't think that he's wrong about everything. But at least when he was around, it's not like, I'm not like oh my God, Charlie, he could do no wrong. But now that he's gone, it's also like, I don't want to be perceived as like, oh, well, you just think he can do no wrong because you're like obsessed Charlie and he's a perfectly innocent person, or he was a perfectly innocent person. No. But because he was saying these things, and even though he was still praising Trump, he was still saying, or at least seemingly agreeing with ridiculous things like, oh, he deserves a Peace Prize or Nobel Peace Prize, and like platforming these people and agreeing and supporting them and continuing to support Trump and praising him constantly and constantly going with like, oh, this X decision is such a great decision, et cetera, et cetera. So I think even he would have had to come out against Trump, because a lot of people did. Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the more famous examples, especially recently, she was where Charlie was. Like, she was 100% pro-Trump everything. Like, she supported him in all things, except for when it came to the Epstein stuff. And I have endless respect for her for that. I was never a huge fan or not fan. I was kind of indifferent to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I always kind of respected that she seemed to say what she meant. That was kind of my opinion of her. Obviously, we disagreed on a lot, but recently when she came out and she was like, well, I have to stand on principle, and like, something is wrong here. He's lying. He's saying all this like Epstein stuff is a hoax now, and we can't have that. So she stood on principle, and she doesn't have her job anymore. massey student principal. He doesn't have a job anymore, but he was never like a Trump like a Trump obsessed, like Trump could do no wrong person either. So I think Charlie might be in the same camp. If he was alive today, he would probably be like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They would have to. He would have to call these things out, because he has been calling them out even when the other Iran stuff was happening. Like the things that are happening now, here he is saying that Trump isn't doing these things and how great that he's not doing these things. But here Trump is literally now doing these things. So he would have to come out against it. Especially since he already, like, right before his life got ended, he already came out against, or at least starting to pull away from the pro-Israel cause, as he said. So it's, I don't know. It's a bit conflicting to, on one hand, be like, oh, well, here he is saying stuff in support of Trump, but also he's saying that there's no regime change, no U.S. troops dead. This was back when no U.S. troops were dead. So I could see how he was very, very inconvenient for them. And it's one thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, oh, well, she's removed from Congress or whatever. But it's another thing where you have somebody like Charlie, whether it's for best or for worst or for whatever, it does seem like he had a lot of influence on a large amount of younger people. And I think that maybe they realized how much that mattered, and they couldn't have somebody like that coming out against them with what they had planned, in my opinion. Did I mention this was my opinion? Let's finish this one real quick, but I think you got the point.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, it pretty satisfies, at least in every criteria I would possibly have. And so, Pete, here's a silly question. Did they really not use the...
All right, let's me do the next one real quick. Pull up chat here. Nothing is permanent, that's what the Buddhists say. Jimmy says Charlie Kirk was the mouthpiece of the Republican Party to the young people, even if he was anti-war when Trump bombs someone. Kirk makes excuses for it, so he would have had a hard time twisting this not war. Trump, executing all of Iran's heads of state, would have gone against his pro-Trump propaganda. Do you think he would be disappointed by Trump today? Do you think Trump had him fooled, or do you think he was in on it? I'm not sure. But again, since this is all my opinion, in my opinion, it seems like he was at least hoping, probably, that Trump wouldn't take it further than he did. But I also think that he was worried from what we have from, for instance, what's his name? I think I have a clip for that. Let me find that, since we're already discussing it. What's his name? So that guy that was Joe Kent. Put that one up. This one's 5. Yep, 5. So because of what Joe Kent said, come on, really? Let's do this again. Because of what Joe Kent said right here, I think that Charlie Kirk was at least worried that it was going in a bad direction. I do think that. And I think that he was probably trying to use the influence that he thought he had over Trump to try to talk him out of going further while publicly still supporting him. That's my most generous read of the situation.
In a very horrific way, and we're not really even allowed to look into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors, and he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office in the lead up to the 12-day war. I wasn't particularly close with Charlie. He was very gracious to me when I was running for Congress, very, very supportive. So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June, in in the West Wing in the stairway, and I said hi to him, and he looked me in the eye, and he said very loudly, and it's a small. You've been in the West Wing. It's
Yes.
it's small. It's a tight space, and he said, "Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran," very loudly.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off, and he went, I believe, into the Oval, quickly, in a very horrific way.
So, yeah, I gotta figure out a way for it to stop doing that. It's incredibly annoying. But anyway, it does seem like, at least from what Joe Kent and other people have said, Charlie A had Trump's ear, B had regular, or at least maybe not on an exactly regular basis, but he had at least multiple meetings, if not literally regular meetings with him, which might be more likely. And it seems like he really was at least worried that this war would happen, and the way that's happening, and would get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it seems like he was at least worried about it, and was trying to use the influence that he thought he had, to try to prevent it. That's the most generous read I can give, I think. So I hope that answers that question, more or less. But I think he would be more than disappointed. I think he was trying to prevent what was happening today, in my opinion, and it seems like it's happening. So yeah, I think maybe disappointment would be one of them, but I think I'd be a little more than disappointed. I think Charlie Kirk would have no choice but to turn his back onto the pro-Trump cause, or to turn against. He would have no choice but to turn against the pro-Trump cause, whatever the exact wording was, I forgot. But now that we kind of there's more clips here. I think we get the point. It seems like Charlie was publicly strongly supporting everything Trump did, but at least privately trying to talk him out of something bigger. So it's actually a real shame we don't still have Charlie Kirk here with us to speak about what's happening now. I think I agree with that, especially since what we know now, what happened towards the end of his life, with him turning away from these large Jewish donors and abandoning the pro-Israel cause. If he had a chance to follow that all the way through, I think, whether for better or for worse, he does have a lot of influence over a large number of younger people, like I was saying. And I think that those younger people would be eager to go with him in that direction, away from Israel. And I think that they're doing that now regardless. Whether Charlie is alive or dead, I think the people that are realizing what he said before he passed, and among other things and other events, I think a lot of people are realizing that we have no choice but to turn our backs on the pro-Israel cause, like as a country. And a lot of people, younger and older, I think, are realizing that, especially ones that used to by default support Israel. A lot of people support Israel by default, just like a lot of people are, like, by default liberal, or like younger people tend to be by default liberals. And in that way, a lot of people by default are pro-Israel because, well, they're not Muslim, and Muslim is so much more different than Christian, and most people here are Christian, so Judeo-Christianity, and it seems to kind of be a duh in people's heads until they really start thinking about everything that has happened historically. And I think the Charlie Kirk case is one of those things that, whether he was alive to pull out of the pro-Israel cause and bring his organization and his supporters with him away from the pro-Israel cause, or now in his death, the mystery of his death is turning people away from the pro-Israel cause. So I think in both scenarios, it seems to be working in a similar direction, as in away from Israel. Ricknell says, I'd like Kirk's opinion on Erika running TPUSA. Um, as you know, I do have a whole playlist series of actual like investigative style reporting on what I think he would have thought about that. Like a little, what is it, like 4 parts now? Like a 4-part investigation on whether he appointed Erika to run TPUSA or not. Spoiler alert, no. I think something that I was really glad I found was in, I think, the latest video or the one before that, or maybe in both, out of the playlist. It was something along the lines of how he introduced her, like whenever she would be invited to speak at his events, as were many other people who also don't run TPUSA. Like many people got invited to speak. He would introduce her, even when he introduced her as things other than his wife and mother of his children, or whatever point in the relationship it was, girlfriend, fiance, whatever. He still introduced her as like she had her own stuff. Like, oh, she's got this Bible app, you should check it out. Or she's got this like fashion clothing brand Bible related thing, you should check it out. Not like, oh, she's helping me run TPUSA, we're like in on this together, and I run everything by her, and she's like my greatest confidant, and I have all these blueprints that if anything ever happens to me, I'm leaving her. Like, no, we didn't get any of that. He was like, oh, here's my wife, she's got this Bible app, and she's got she's holding on the fort at home, and she's got this Bible app that she does in her free time. Not like, oh, I go into the office and then every day I come home and I unload everything, and she helps me make all the decisions, and I saved some of my notebooks and given them to her in case something bad happens. That way she can be the boss babe CEO in my stead and abandon my children at home. Like, no, that is not something that happened. That's for come on. I have such a hard time believing that anybody really believes that, especially people that claim to be like strong Charlie Kirk supporters, like people that supported him in life and claim to support him now in death. They're like, oh, well, you're just trying to destroy everything he built. Like, no, Erika is like single-handedly destroying everything that he built. Single-handedly, like. But no, blame everybody else for pointing out that she's doing it. That's really what's destroying it. Man. Anyway, it seemed like he wanted to take what he built and take it in a completely different direction, but it seems like they're like, oh, he didn't mean that. Never mind. He didn't mean to fire this person and put them over here, or remove this person from his building. She literally just like undid everything he did in his last days, and obviously the whole like he doesn't want to support the Israel cause anymore. He doesn't want the Jewish donors' money. Like, he was walking away from those things. But instead of following through on that, which they're constantly going, this is the next video. Well, the one that I'm almost editing is not about that, but the one that I'm working on now that will be out, not the next one, but the one after that, is the whole, like, are they honoring Charlie? Because you constantly hear, like, are they honoring Charlie? Oh, we're doing this to honor Charlie. We're doing this to honor my husband. She said, my husband. To honor my husband. My husband. Gotta honor my husband. And he constantly, like, everybody, not just Erika, but everybody around him also, like the other Charlie Kirk show people that are still running the Charlie Kirk show for whatever creepy reason. And other TPUSA people and other people that were, in my opinion, in on it. For instance, everybody who was in that car that went to the hospital with him, like that whole thing is super shady, and the lying about it. Anyway, different topic, but I do think that it seems like Charlie was ready to go in a different direction, and then he died, and Erika comes in trying to play boss babe CEO and chair also, don't forget, and chair, that he wasn't even chair himself, and taking basically like everything he tried to do right before he died, she was like, oh, never mind, he didn't mean that. Reinstalling everybody that he let go, giving them like other positions in power, putting people back into the building that he got removed from the building allegedly to, and basically like undoing everything he tried to do right before he passed. That's not shady at all. Okay, sure. Let's get to so I think we kind of get the Charlie Kirk point of that. I think if I keep going on that particular thread, I might be repeating myself too much. So, what about everybody else? Kind of how I started this is, well, sure, there's Charlie, and I said what I said, and what about everybody else? Because it takes many people to not only execute whatever got executed, and I don't mean like I mean like execute a mission or something like that, not like that. You know what I mean. It takes more than a handful of people. Like there's a lot of moving parts here, and there's a lot of things that need to be covered up, especially afterwards, and during and right after and right before and etc. So that there are many pieces here that need many people to continually try to cover it up. And what's in it for them? Like what's in it for Blake Neff? Like what does Blake Neff get out of it? I don't know. Obviously, this whole thing is speculation, as I was saying, but it does seem like Blake Neff, he's like, oh well, now that Charlie's not around, it's me and Andrew Colvett. We're like the two people running the show, and he's like, he sits on one side, Colvett sits on the other side, and they're like they got this like equal partnership thing, and they're both running this like super big business, and they got all these followers that they kept because, well, they follow Charlie and probably forgot to unfollow or haven't done it yet. So it's what does Blake Neff get out of it? And I do think that it's something like that. Like he's not directly gonna be invited to talk to Trump probably, but he's looking at people like, well, Erika and Andrew Colvett, and Charlie was constantly talking to Trump, so he's looking at what they're doing, and they're like, well, they're doing this parodying Trump thing, and they get invited to all these special things. They get access to Trump. They get on this national stage, and they get praise, and they get big crowds cheering for them, etc., etc. Well, when Trump is around, not when they're on their own. So maybe if I do like they do, like he's in that, what I was talking about, the rings earlier, it seems like he might be in that like outer ring that is immediately outside of the like primary ring of people that do get the access. He's like right out on that outer ring of like, oh, I'm right next to the people who get the access, so I'm next in line to get the access, even though he's very unlikely to get any like meaningful access in any way. And the other thing is like, well, he's half the show now. It's him and Andrew Colvett. But is it really half the show? Because it seems like, well, we watched this a few streams ago where the fake callers question mark thumbnail one, that stream where we go on the Charlie Kirk Show YouTube channel and we see what's been going on there. How we noticed that Andrew Colvett is now on some of the episodes, like some of the YouTube videos. It seems like Andrew Colvett's name is next to, oh, it's Charlie Kirk and Andrew Colvett, like the YouTube functionality where you like collab with channels, but it doesn't say and Blake Neff. So I don't know if Blake Neff seems to think like, oh, it's half and half, but it's really like he's not even getting that. He's not getting the access, and he's not even getting half the show. It's basically Andrew Colvett's show now. It's the Andrew Colvett show, and he's like trying to make like his separate YouTube channel, but it's not working, and he's trying to like promote it on the actual channel. It's not working. He's doing most of the speaking. He's doing the ad reads. It's the Andrew Colvett show. So if Blakey thought that he was going to be some kind of like big Charlie replacement, the next Charlie, he's not going to get that. If anybody has any realistic shot at sort of being the next Charlie, it's not any of them. It's nobody. None of them are going to be the next Charlie. Let's just face it. But if anybody, if you like had to pick somebody, like if you had to pick one of them, Andrew Colvett would probably be next in line because he was like helping run the Charlie Kirk show and all of that. Oh, I see the mosquito. Oh, where'd it we go. I just saw it like right next to the light. This is gonna be a thing, isn't it? Anyway, Erika Coverup would be probably the one person that you. Oh well, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be him. So it's still not Blakey, but Blake and Coverup and all of them are basically doing that same thing. That same thing that we saw Posobiec do. That was described by JP. This like basically parroting everything that, regardless of it being unpopular with the public and unpopular with people who used to support Trump and just the right in general and the left. Unpopular with basically most people. As long as Trump says it, they parrot it. So I don't know if we need to pull up every single clip of that. That might be more of a like separate video situation where I pull up clip by clip and we discuss, because otherwise this is going to take way too long to do that, especially the way it is. But yeah, like here's a few more I think that might be good to do. Let's do these two real quick, just because we were discussing how Charlie Kirk was doing the whole, oh well, it's cool if Trump does this as long as there's no boots on the ground, and the whole like trying to play this whole I support Trump while still being anti-war. Here's a few things that one is on the PVD podcast in 2023. The next one is 2025 620. So a few months before he died. Basically anti-war. Oops. Let me put this back. Let's just make sure we get these real quick. Oops, wrong one. There we go.
For the hostages, how do you deal with Iran?
What do you do?
Yeah, I think Trump had it right, which, remember, there was clamoring for Trump to go to war against Iran and strike, and he resisted that. The same
Not anymore. Not anymore.
time, he was tough and very firm, where he, canceled the Iran deal, went after Soleimani. I think the Iran...
Oops.
Wow.
Sorry, I broke it. I hate that it does this. This is so gonna be annoying. Next time I'm just gonna upload it to YouTube and play all the clips inside YouTube, since it doesn't do this switching the...
$6 billion for the hostages.
Trump had it right, which, remember, there was clamoring for Trump to go to war against Iran and strike, and he resisted that. The same time, he was tough and very firm, where he, canceled the Iran deal, went after Soleimani. But you have to have your priorities right. What is best for America, right? War with Iran is not what is best for America. There's some other facts about Iran that are important, though. I think the Iran situation...
All right. Again, this whole... If he was saying stuff like that back then, even while still supporting Trump, he would have to drop his support for Trump now. He would have to. I don't think he would have any other choice but to do that. Otherwise, he would lose all his other support. People call him a liar. Like, he would just be a liar if he still supported Trump today. Like, if he was around today and still supported Trump, he would be a liar. Let's do this one too. Real quick.
Well, we can't defeat China. See, that's an impossible scenario.
Oh, okay. So just to be clear, you would be okay with boots on the ground in Iran?
I would.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's not rational at all. I mean, Persia is 2.5 times the size of Texas. It is 92 million people, huge ethnic groups surrounded by mountains at every side. So just to be clear, and that's fine. You have a right to that opinion. We're running out of time. I'm going to...
Yeah, that's... I think you get the point. Yeah, so I do have a lot more clips that sort of support this whole thing, and there's... Iran is only part of it. There's, of course, the Epstein, and... Of course... What was the Epstein stuff? And then... proximity to Trump. I have a bunch of evidence for that as well. And then there was the succession part as well of, okay, so that was the other thing. So before I go, I want to touch on the succession part as well. And I think that, interestingly enough, that goes with this comment, excuse me. Well, Erika did inherit the business. It's her right to do whatever she wants with it, even destroy it or take it in a different direction. Again, I have like a 4-part video investigative series on that if you want to, if you're interested. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but if you go after this ends, if you go into my playlists, there's like, what is it called? There's a playlist in there. And let me see if I can figure out exactly what it's called, because it's called like the appointment. Charlie Kirk appointing Erika investigation series. The full videos one is the one. So that's the playlist where I sort of go into the whole him appointing her and her inheriting it in general. There are some like AI related things and then a lot of other facts sort of built in. I should have probably split it out better into more smaller videos, but it is what it is now. But there's lots of interesting little tidbits in there if you're interested later. So check that out. But I do wanna end this kind of soon, but I don't wanna go before I touch on this. So where I was kind of taking all this eventually, and if we had, you know, hours and hours, we'd probably go through all of these videos, and maybe at some point I'll make a follow-up, like individual standalone video for this, because I know not everybody likes live streams, and it would be like kind of quicker and put together, and we wouldn't have the live stream nonsense that we're going through here. Anyway, let me kind of get to the point here. The other aspect I was going to get into is, well, and I touched on this a little bit when I was talking about like, well, Blake Neff isn't going to be the next Charlie Kirk. If somebody had to, like if you had to pick a person, I think Andrew Covett would probably be one of the people you would pick, as far as like running the show at least. But running TPUSA, it might even be Covett, but maybe like Tyler Boyer was there most of the time, except right before Charlie passed, he fired him. Like he removed him from leadership position. And as soon as Charlie's gone, now they just moved him to like running TPUSA action, apparently, if I remember correctly. I'll have to look that up again just to be sure. But it was, they just, instead of letting him go or letting him like redeem himself in some way or just stay at like a lower level, they gave him like a different leadership position, so it didn't seem like they were completely undoing what Charlie wanted. But that's like, instead of being CEO of TPUSA, he was just like what, CEO or whatever of the Turning Point Action specifically now. So okay, whatever. That's a way to try to get around the firing or whatever happened there. So it is interesting that even Tyler Boyer, who I think is pretty dang suspicious in my opinion, was like he didn't have his job anymore. Like Charlie like fired him from his job. There were a lot of changes being made that people didn't like, and he paid for those changes with his life. And now that he's gone, they're undoing everything he tried to do and going way in the opposite direction that he wanted to go. Like way like pedal to the metal in the opposite direction. And the whole appointment thing is, it's not only that Blake Neff and Andrew Covett and possibly Tyler Boyer, although he seems a little different, like he seems more content to be like a medium level of fame. He seems to want to be like the kingmaker, which is kind of a title that I think other people have given to him. Like he prefers the kind of, in my opinion, from what little I have noticed of him, is he seems to prefer kind of the being sort of on the back end directing things and having like the secret knowledge and the secret this and having the power and the influence, but not necessarily being like the face of A, B, or C. That seems to be his preference from sort of just at a glance. But I could be wrong about that. If I dug in deeper, I could find something else there. So I don't know about him, but like Erika Kirk, for instance, she absolutely wants to be the next Charlie. Like she wasn't happy. She clearly wasn't happy being married to Charlie and staying at home. I think at first, from when I was editing the video that I'm working on now, that's probably going to be out tomorrow, the next day, there were a few things that I was pulling clips for, and adjacently there were a few, like I sort of saw what was next to it and kept playing it for a minute, and before and after the clip I was pulling. And there were a few things I came across, such as her talking about like how, and this was when they first got married, about how she lives out of a suitcase and they're always flying all over the world and she's always traveling with him and this and that. And it seemed like at that point, whether she liked Charlie as a lover or not, as being a separate thing. I think at that point she at least enjoyed feeling important and traveling the world, and traveling with him and being always being in a suitcase and all these private jets everywhere. I'm presuming was a thing then too. Anyway, she was enjoying this life, and then of course the expectation is that she's gonna pop out some kids, and you can't do that with kids. You can't pull kids around everywhere 300 days out of the year or whatever it is that she said. So I think even if at first she was enjoying being the wife and traveling everywhere, when the kids came, it seems like that changed, and she would have to stay home and hold down the fort. And now her speeches became more about staying home and holding down the fort, just being with the kids, saying you can't, saying things like, oh, well, you can't do both kids and work because you're going to miss out things with the kids if you do work part-time, like all that time that you miss out, et cetera, et cetera. So all the things that she was saying started taking on a different path, and the things that she was doing, she clearly enjoyed that when they first got married, that life more. That she had the power, the fame, that she felt important, she was raking in the cash. But when the kids came, now she had to stay at home with the kids. She couldn't go and travel constantly. She got a few speaking gigs here and there. She had her cute little side business and her free time, but she wasn't doing the boss babe travel the world stuff anymore. The expectation was different. And I think at that point, again, this whole show is just my opinion. In case somebody's joining in now or clicking in now and they haven't heard me say that like 5 billion times before. In my opinion, that was probably around when she started to resent her situation and wanted to, instead of being Charlie's wife, I think she wanted to be Charlie. I think she wanted to have the influence, have the ear of the president, be traveling the world on a private jet, speaking here and there, having crowds gather just to see her speak and cheer for her and praise her and get all these special important appointments and talk to all these important people and have all this money and all this like connections. Like, I think she wanted to be Charlie. And that is another thing that it's kind of lower on the list past like the honoring and everything. And I don't know if it's going to be a separate video or if it's going to be added to one of the other videos, but I sort of had this thought for a while that she turned from like playing the wife role with all the frilly dresses and the white poofy like pink frilly dresses into the slacks and like dressing more like masculine. Like as soon as Charlie passed, she started dressing more masculine, like all the pantsuits and everything. So it seems like she like wants to be Charlie. She wants to have what Charlie had. She wants to have the fame, the influence, specifically the influence that Charlie had. But she's not getting it. She can flail and try, and she can have people like Trump hand her the influence, put her on stage in front of the big crowds that came to see Trump. He can do all that for her, but he can't save her from herself. Like, she just sucks. People don't like her. She sucks. She's creepy and she sucks. And she, like, something isn't right with her. People are starting to sense it. More and more people are starting to sense it, how something just isn't right and how nothing adds up and how many lies she's constantly telling and has been telling. And she's just not popular. Like, people don't like her. People actively dislike her. And that she only has herself to blame for it. Like, she was given everything. She was given when she first when Charlie first died, like when that first like immediately after Charlie died, she had everything. Everybody had basically, okay, not literally everybody, but most of the world was supporting her. They like were, oh my God, this poor widow with her young children. How can we help? What can we do? And she had all the support. People were so very supportive. You can tell why she was so happy right after Charlie passed, and she was given this position of power. Like, here, now you can have what you always wanted. You wanted to be Charlie. Now you can be Charlie. You can have his career. You can have his job. You can pretend that you know everything that you're doing. You can pretend that nothing's even changed. He just looks a little, Charlie got a little blonder and a little shorter, and now he's like super extra cringe, and something's very wrong with him. But look, it's Charlie. She's got like the blueprints, and he's a different gender now, but it's still Charlie, right? And they're trying to sell this like, oh, look, it's just Charlie with long hair or something, but it's not. Like, she sucks. She can't do what Charlie was doing, regardless of what you feel about it. He was good at what he was doing, and yes, a lot of that was arguing with college kids. Like, that was part of his job. She can't do that, but like she can't do that. That's part of the job, and she can't do it. She can't even do like the regular speaking gigs where she goes on stage. Like, she can't even do those without messing those up. And like, it's not like she was sitting there innocently and people just started attacking her. Like, no, she's actively doing things to invite this criticism. If she wasn't so cringe and worthy of criticism, nobody would criticize her. Like, she started with 150% of people's grace, and if she messed up, people would forgive her, and people have, and I was one of those people. I was like, oh my goodness, she just lost her husband. If she acts weird, it's okay. People grieve differently, you guys. Everybody grieves differently, and we can't, she's just grieving, okay? Everybody's different when they grieve. You can't fault her for X, Y, or Z. I know she messed up X, Y, or Z, but you can't fault her for that because she's grieving, she's traumatized, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, that was me. That was me too. I was one of those people. I was. And the more that she spent those goodwill credits that she had, the more she literally like threw them away by being herself. And I think she's right. When we covered this the other day, when she was talking to Caddis, she said something like, oh, this world never understood me. She's like, so misunderstood. I can't remember the last time I heard a grown adult say that kind of stuff. Like, that's such a teenager thing to say. Like, oh, nobody understands me. I'm just like so different, and the world is just like not for me. That emo shit that she was doing. Man. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I heard an adult say stuff like that, but I think she was right. The world doesn't understand her because she's freaking weird. She's weird. She's doing weird stuff. Whatever she's doing is unnatural. It's clear she doesn't care that Charlie died. In fact, it looks like she's really enjoying herself. And whatever she's doing with like the napkins pretending to wipe her snot, then her eyeballs, like, it's not right. People don't do that. She's not acting like a normal human is expected to act. In general, the whole thing is weird, and I think she's one of those people that wanted Charlie's spot. She wants to be Charlie, and it's not just her. Blake Neff wants to be Charlie. Andrew Colvett wants to be Charlie. He probably has a better shot of all of them, but none of them can be Charlie. None of them get to be Charlie, and they're like, oh wow, now that this spot is open, Charlie got to go and hang out with the president. He got to go influence the president. He got to go in this speaking thing. All these crowds gathered to hear him speak here and here and here. Maybe now that he's gone, well, there's this empty seat, and maybe I could do that. Maybe I could be Charlie. I could go. I could do what he just like argued with kids on a college campus, right? Maybe I could do that. And even things like that, where I know a lot of people don't see the value in it. I like the conversation, but obviously, there are issues with what he was doing with the college stuff that aren't like, oh, no, that's wrong, you're not allowed to do that. That's not what I mean. But like the way that it's obvious that things were portrayed in a certain way, and you have these kids that are like, oh yeah, I can talk about so and so, but they don't know what they're saying, and it seems like they possibly had some sort of process to filter out the people who might have actually given him some grief. But anyway, I have, that's a separate investigation. So whether you think that like the him speaking on college campuses or arguing with college kids was valuable or not, that is a skill that he had. That is a skill that he possessed, and whatever that job is, that was a job, and he was good at it. Like, eh, he did his job well. Whether you value, whether you see the value of that job or not, he did that well and successfully. And other people are like, well, I could be Charlie, but they can't. They can't be Charlie. None of the people who are in TPUSA now, who are trying to become Charlie and trying to do the whole, oh, well, if I'm just supportive enough of Trump, if I just toe the line, if I'm just saying all the stuff that Posobiec is saying, that Charlie used to say, if I just keep supporting Trump blindly, maybe I will get access to Trump, and then I will grow, and I will be more influential, and I will have the power. But they can't have it. And even Charlie, if all the evidence that we have that points to it is true, even Charlie was not going to have that power anymore because he was trying to step away from it. He was trying to cut out the donors. He was trying to step away from the pro-Israel cause itself. And what if he did that and he started being like, well, actually, I really do think that the Epstein files need to be released, and this Iran war, actually, sorry, Trump, I supported you, but like, this is wrong, and I can't support that because I literally said everything against what you're doing now for like probably hours of him just saying those things specifically. If you just pulled all those things, it would probably be hours of content of a supercut of him speaking out against what is happening now back then. So he would have to be like, well, I can't even do that, but these people don't mind. They're like, well, if only he didn't turn around, he would still be doing what he's doing. He'd be influential and powerful, and maybe I could do that. Maybe, I mean, I'm not going to turn my back on Trump. He can bomb all the little kids he wants in the opposite side of the world. I don't care. I'm just going to support him no matter what. And maybe one day I can be Charlie Kirk, and I can have the millions of dollars, and I can have the Miss Arizona USA wife that's going to dance on my grave or whatever. People want that. People want those things, and they don't care that it costs them their integrity. Maybe they had none to begin with. Maybe they don't care if they lose it. I don't know. But they want to be Charlie. I think that's part of this. It's not only that they want the influence and the money and the power, is they want to be Charlie specifically. They see a spot is opened. The spot has been opened forcefully. That spot is now empty. They see that as an empty position that could be filled by somebody. It's like, somebody gets fired from a job, and other people that are sort of adjacent to that position, they're like, well, maybe I'll get a promotion now that this job is empty. It doesn't work like that in this real life situation, because you can't just like be Charlie Kirk. He was a very specific sort of thing, a combination of things, and people won't accept just like replacing somebody, just like people didn't accept the Daily Wire replacing Brett Cooper with whatever that chick's name is. Like, you can't just like replace a personality like that, for better or for worse. Like, it's not how things work. But these people, they don't see it that way. Erika Kirk's thing, in my opinion, I think Erika believes that she really can be Charlie. She can wear enough pantsuits and do enough speaking gigs, and then people will think she's Charlie, I guess, with longer hair, that can't speak to college kids because reasons, she's grieving or whatever. Any excuse why she can't do something is going to be like, oh, she's grieving. It is convenient, honestly. And Blake Neff, he thinks that, well, that's an empty seat. Maybe I could fit my little butt in that chair. Hope no aliens come for him. All right. It is getting late, and I think that pretty much covers everything. I did have more clips to sort of support that whole rant, but it would take too long to like pull everyone up and then rearrange the screen and all that. So yeah, I don't know if anybody's interested in like a standalone video on this that would be a lot more concise and less rambly. Let me know. I might put that on the list if people are interested. But that pretty much covers it. Again, there are more examples to go with it, but it would just take too long at this point, and it's late, so. Don't forget the pyro. The pyrotech. Oh, right. When she was coming out with the, like, yay, my husband just died. Do the fireworks. Yeah. Yeah. Emo. Yep. I like rambles personally. Oh, good, because rambles you got. Rambles is what you're getting. Okay. Well, it is getting late. But watch out for not watch out. It's gonna get you, but like, watch out for the video that I'll be dropping. I don't know if it's gonna be tomorrow or Monday, but it's like almost done. I just need to finish editing a few things, but there's a few bits in there that I think I really like how it turned out. So I think you guys will like it. If you like this video, or if you think this video is at least mildly interesting, I think you're gonna like those little bits that I'm thinking of right now, that are in there. I think those are gonna be funny. But yeah, that's pretty much that. I do need to fix. I still haven't done it. Every time I remember it, I'm in the middle of stream and I can't do it. But I gotta fix the things where like once in a while it drops the links for like the Discord and the tips and stuff. But I do have a Discord, and for some reason it's not working right now. But usually it does. And it's all in the description. Like if you look in the description of this video, there's a link to the Discord, and there's a link to the tips link if anybody is interested in donating to the show to keep the show going. That would be appreciated. And if I don't get to anybody, I will call out anybody next time, as long as you use the link. If you do super chat, I might not see it because I think I might have missed one at some point, like at the end of the show, and it doesn't show it to me like the next time around. If you use the link in the description, it will show it to me. Like I'll see it, and I'll be able to pull it up in the beginning of next stream, because it goes in like a little feed for me, and it comes up like that. So it's a little different how that works. But I gotta try to find that super chat. I still feel bad about that, but it like disappeared on me. Anyway, everybody have a good night. Oh, check out a picture of Tyler Robinson and compare facial features. Sometimes you guys just a mystery. Yeah, I'll have to look at that later. I really don't think they look similar, but I'll give it a shot for sure. I will at least do as you ask and put them side by side. But they really don't look similar. Have a good one. Glad you're feeling better. Yeah, it is better. It has been better. I am also glad. But thank you everybody. I shall see you when I see you, and be sure to watch out for that video that's dropping soon. So thank you. Have a good night.